Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you guys that are new, my name is Tony. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. I have a lot of stuff in store for you guys today. I recently posted a poll on my Instagram page asking you guys what you guys want to see before we jump right into the ice season, because I will be leaving tomorrow for the St. Paul Ice Show. So this video will be up before then. So obviously if you guys are going to be up there, come say what's up. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into the video. So like I said, I posted a poll on my Instagram page asking you guys what you wanted to see. The number one result from you guys was how I set up my rods, how I set up my jaw jackers, and how I catch big trout on the ice, because I know a lot of you guys probably want to go do it too. So I'm here to teach you guys that. Before I jump directly into this, if you guys are new here, definitely go hit that subscribe button if you guys like to learn how to catch big fish, because that's what we're all about here. So first thing I'm going to start off with is going to be the rod that I'm using. You want to make sure you have the proper rod to ensure that you're not going to lose a bunch of fish. By the proper rod, I mean you're going to need something that has a slow action. You can pick any rod you want on the market, but you're going to want a slow action. What I mean by that is, for example, the rod I have here, you'll notice it's got a very slow action and it bends throughout the whole rod. I don't know if you guys can see that. Basically what that's going to allow you to do is absorb head shakes with those big fish, because when you're using light line, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, you're going to want something to absorb those head shakes, because if you have a very stiff rod, you know, and it's not letting that fish run or take runs or head shake, you're going to lose a lot of fish. So rule number one, go to a store, go online, whatever, find yourself a rod that's going to be very slow and allow you to catch those big fish and allow you to really absorb those head shakes. Second thing I want to get into is the reel that I'm using. You're going to want a reel that obviously, for one, works in the cold, which is hard to find nowadays, believe it or not. It doesn't even matter what the price of the reel is. You can find a $1,000 reel and it might not work in the cold. So you're going to want a reel that works in the cold. By that I mean you're going to want something with a smooth drag, something you can tweak just right to where you want it to be and where it's going to be super smooth letting that line up, because if a fish wants to take a run right away, if your reel sticks up at all, that fish is gone. So you're going to want to make sure your reel is 100% not frozen, smooth drag, working in the cold. And with that all being said, I run the Carbon X2 2000 size reel here from Piscifun. Definitely my favorite reel that I've literally ever used. I run it on all of my ice rods, and I also run it on all of my open water rods. This is a great reel for walleyes, salmon, open water fishing, and then perfect size, perfect capacity, and perfect durability for the brown trout on the ice. So if you guys are in the market for a reel, I recommend you guys go check these out, because like I said, you're going to want to have the right gear. And I'm not saying you guys need to own everything exactly how I have it. I mean, you can go with different brands, you can go with different items. I mean, it's probably going to work. This is what I've found to be the best for me and what I've caught the most fish with. So if you guys already have gear and you're just looking for how to set it up, I'm going to get into that obviously too. So going from the reel, obviously on the reel I have a monofilament line. You're not going to want braid and you're not going to want straight fluorocarbon. You can run straight fluorocarbon. Two downfalls with that. One, expensive, because fluorocarbon is ridiculously expensive, and if you're going to put 100 yards on here, it's going to get expensive. Second of all, fluorocarbon has no stretch, so you're going to get no give around the hole. You don't necessarily want that. So two downfalls to running fluorocarbon straight. So like I said, I use mono. I use the Trilene extra large smooth casting monofilament line. I mean, like I said, this is just what I have. This is cheap. It's like 25 bucks. You go to the store, you pick up, this is a 1,000-yard spool. So this will spool up, 10 reels for me, or 8 reels, something like that. Oop, just came off. But this will spool up, 8, 9 reels depending on your capacity. Obviously, I think on here I can get about, 12 pounds probably would be about 90 yards. So I can get about 90 yards, which would be, about 10 reels. I can get about 9 or 10 reels out of one spool of mono, which is nice because you can just go buy one bulk, spool up all your reels, call it a day. So I have 12-pound clear monofilament line. You can get a rod anywhere from 36 to like 42 inches. That's kind of the sweet spot. 36, 38, 40, 42. It all works really well. But you can kind of get, any rod in that vicinity. Going down to the business end, obviously, like I said, 12-pound test, monofilament, clear, that stuff right there. And then you're going to want some split shot. Number one most important thing when you're ice fishing for trout is don't have your split shot close to your hook. So you'll notice I have this tiny little hook. I have a leader about 2.5 to 3 feet long, and that's going to be 6 pound or 8 pound test fluorocarbon. It kind of depends on the water clarity. If the bite's a little finicky, I'll change it to 6 if I use 8 to start. Or if they're really biting and I'm breaking off fish on 6, then I'll just change to 8 because they're biting. So I play with 6 and 8 pretty interchangeably. I mean, 6 or 8 pound test fluorocarbon. And the reason you're going to want fluorocarbon for this section here is because it's going to be a lot more transparent and clear under the water, and therefore the trout won't be able to see your line. So 2.5, 3 feet of fluorocarbon to your 12 pound clear monofilament line. And you'll notice right here, kind of in the middle of it all, 12 pound mono, 8 pound fluor, right in the middle, I have a little swivel, and I have a couple split shots. I have one above it, one below it, and then one a little bit higher up. The reason I have it set up like this, strictly, I have the one on top, so my blue ice stopper, which I'm also going to talk about in a minute, so my blue ice stopper doesn't go into my swivel. You're going to want to make sure you have at least one split shot above the swivel, and then I always keep one below it just to help balance it out a little bit. So like I said, I'll show you guys some close-ups so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Then you run your 8 pound fluorocarbon leader, and you're going to run it down to a very, very small hook. Now the color of the hook, I wouldn't say necessarily matters. I like to use red, Gamakatsu size 8 or 10. Doesn't really matter what size, whatever you have or whatever you can find in the store. Get an 8 or 10. I recommend the red. You can get the black. It works too. I have black running as well on some of my rods, but I like the red, but the key is small. If you have too big of a hook, trout are very picky. They're going to see that. They're going to spook. They're not going to eat it. You're going to want something very, very small like this guy. So now running quick right back up to the business end, because I kind of forgot to talk about this little guy here, is an ice stopper. So this thing is going to also, this thing is also going to save your butt when it comes to fishing in the cold for these big fish. This is something that you slide onto your main line, so I have it on my 12 pound monofilament going to my rod. Obviously it can slide freely. Inside of here, you're going to fill up non-toxic ice solution, which is basically just like an anti-freeze non-toxic. That allows your line to always move freely, regardless of if your hole is frozen or open. Your line is always going to be able to slide through. Now you might be asking yourself, do you always run these when it's hot, when it's cold? Yeah, when it's hot and it's like above freezing, you know, like either early ice or late ice, you know, and it's really, really warm and you're looking at those 40 plus degree days, I'll throw in just water in here so it balances in the hole. Otherwise, it's just going to sit flat and be all wonky. So I'll throw just regular water in here when it's not below freezing, because if you put water in here, it kind of defeats the purpose if it's below freezing. But I'll put water in here, and that way it also acts as a line bouncer. It kind of helps bounce your line from side to side, and it prevents your line from kind of digging in that hole or digging in the side of the ice. So it kind of serves two purposes. Like I said, if it's cold, obviously you're going to want antifreeze in there, and then if it's warm out, you can put antifreeze in there still, but I'll just quick fill it with water, pop it shut, and leave it sit in the hole. So that's kind of the rod setup. Like I said, I'll try to show you guys a couple little close-ups throughout the video so you guys can pause the video or rig it up or whatever you want to do, you can do. And now I want to quick jump into how I'm setting this rod up on the ice. So obviously that's the rod setup by itself. And this rod setup, by the way, is going to be for a automatic hook setting device setup. Now we're going to get into the automatic hook setting device. This is a jaw jacker. Best freaking thing that exists. For some reason it's illegal in some states. Don't ask me why, because I have no idea. It should be 100% legal everywhere in the world. Strictly because not only does it help you catch more fish, but it also helps the fishery out by not allowing any fish to swallow your bait. Because basically what this does, as soon as your bait gets bit or whatever you have as your lure underneath the water, as soon as that gets bit, boom, goes off, sets the hook, fish is hooked right in the beak of the mouth all the time. It's never going to swallow your bait, and it's never going to have an injury from having a set line. So, like I said, no idea why automatic hook setting devices are illegal in some states. It makes absolutely no sense. But I think they're currently trying to figure that out and make it legal in the states that it's not. I don't know. It should be legal. That's my opinion. Anyways, back to the jaw jacker. You guys kind of saw me there. Fold out the legs. You pop these little ice picks open. So now I can dig in the ice and sit right next to your hole. Hole's right here. Jaw jacker right here. So if I'm using like a 38, 40 inch, 42 inch rod, if I'm using that length rod, I put it in the 5 slot. Basically all that means is that's how far it's able to slide out. And if you're using a long rod like 44, 45 inch, 46 inch rod, that's what the number 6 and 7 is for. So you can slide it out even farther. And then if you're using obviously like a 36, 34, 35, you know, somewhere in that, You can kind of move it to like a 4 or 3 just to move it in a little bit, depending on how much bend and torque you want in your rod. You want a lot of torque, okay? I'll start there. Number 5, 38, 40, 42 inch rod. Put it in number 5, thank me later. And obviously there's a bunch of different hook setting devices on the market. This, by far, is the best one that I've ever used. The reason for that is, not only is it super light, compact, you can throw it in your sled and call it a day, and it's literally weighs like an ounce. Super, super light, very durable. And then also, it has a very, very, very sensitive trigger. Not a lot of hook setting devices you can actually manipulate the trigger based on tension. So you can really, really, really play with the tension knob, make it super light, super tight. If you're going for pike or something, you can really, really change the tension. When I'm fishing for trout, you always want it to be very, very, very light, okay? You want it to almost barely fall over when your line is in there, but not quite to the point where like wind would set it off. So you want to find that happy medium. I mean, you almost want it to fall when there's nothing on it. So like obviously, like if you guys watch close here, if I loosen this knob all the way up, it falls, right? So I mean, you don't want it that loose to the point where it's just falling. Where if you twist this up a little bit, you'll see how now it's going to stay unless it gets pushed down very lightly. So you want to find that happy medium. My happy medium is just to the point where it's not falling over by itself. You lay your line in there, and that way it's super, super sensitive. If anything comes and sniffs that, picks that, your bait, it's going to get hooked. So how the jaw jacket works, let me show you for all you guys that don't have any, and you're going to go pick some up now. Boom. Rod goes in the rod holder. By the way, I always keep it on the first peg closest to the rod holder. That's going to keep this part elevated as much as possible. I mean, you can move it over to the third dot, which is like closest to the hook setting side. Your rod's actually going to lay more like this and not like this. So you want that rod to be more like this. As you see, it's more like that right now. That's going to create more torque on your hook set. So that way when your rod gets bent over, so you'll notice now, like I said, it's on 5. So this is as far as I'm going to be able to slide that out. Jaw jackers come with these little loops that you throw on the end of your last eyelet. That goes right into the mechanism here. You flip that bad boy over. Boom. Now your rod loaded, locked, ready to rock. Okay? So now if I left my finger off of this, it's going to fling up in the air, and I'm not going to do that because it's bad for your rod, bad for the jaw jacker to dry fire. So don't do that. Whenever you're setting this, guys, make sure you're not, for one, you're not right over it, because if it does go off, you're going to get whacked in the face. Second of all, always, always, always keep your finger on the bottom of this trigger, the trigger that falls to set it off. Keep your finger always, always, always on the bottom of that when you're setting it. So if I keep my finger on that, I can kind of set, I can move this on the ice, and it's not ever gonna go off, while I'm moving it, as long as my finger is underneath that trigger piece. So always keep your finger under there. You can do whatever you want with it then. As soon as it goes on the ice, obviously still keep your finger on it. You're going to lay your line right in the little slot there, and that's going to allow it to now sit freely, right? So now if anything comes and touches your line, I'll move this over. Whoa! Didn't mean to do that. That's what it looks like if you miss a fish. Oops. That wasn't supposed to happen. So now I'm going to show you guys what it looks like if a fish ends up getting hooked. So right, you have your line running through there, right? So if my bait's down here, so as soon as a fish bites, boom, fish on, right? So now it sets the hook for you, and now that fish can fight freely, and those ice picks are going to keep that thing glued in the ice. So now as your rod's bending, right, you got a fish on. You're going to want to make sure your drag too isn't super loose, because look, if it's super loose and you put this down, watch this. There's no tension. And see, if that fish is running, it's losing more and more tension. Boom, fish just popped off. And obviously if you have a super tight drag, as soon as it sets the hook, it's going to break off. So you need to find that happy medium, and I'm going to show you guys what that happy medium is. A lot of people have been asking me, about the drag and stuff. So how I set my drag, I kind of just know, because I've been doing it so much, what it feels like and what it should be just without setting the rod. But if you want to dial in and kind of have a reference of how your drag is supposed to be, you can put the rod in here away from the hole. You can set, you can set this like this. You can put your hand on the line and you can hold it. You're going to want to listen for slow ticking, right? So as soon as this gets set, you're going to want to listen for this. So as soon as you set the hook, you see how I have a little bit of a little bit of sound coming from the reel, yet there's still bounce in that rod, right? So your drag, you know, you want it to be right in the middle, not too tight, not too loose. But that's a good test for you. You know, to the point where like as soon as you set that off, it should just start ticking out. And that means your drag is set, ready to rock. And then obviously, you know, if it's a smaller fish and you get there, you can tighten it a little bit. If it's a bigger fish, you need to loosen it, you know, when you're fighting the fish. Obviously, you can change your drag once you're at the hole fighting the fish. But for the initial hook set, you're going to want it to barely just start ticking out just like that. So then it can just fight just like so. So making sure your drag is on point, very, 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 very important to having a lot of success catching these fish. And now the moment you guys have probably been waiting for it. Well, if you watch this video, hopefully you'll learn something. But now I'm gonna bust out my old cell phone. Okay, I'm gonna go to my YouTube video that I posted 2 weeks ago. Got the YouTube video pulled up. All right, so I'm gonna go to my comment section of this video. Okay, latest comments. Yep, click on that. Okay. Okay, so now you guys can see I'm on the page of comments. Bunch of comments. I think there's like 140 comments or something like that, but plenty of you guys entered, which I very greatly appreciate. So I'm gonna pick 2 of you guys from this list. I'm just gonna randomly, you know, do it on the screen here. I'm gonna screen record. Okay, screen recording. Without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking. Let's spin away. So I'm gonna go all the way to the top, and I'll go 1 all the way to the top and 1 on the way up to the bottom. So I'm gonna show you guys the phone. You guys can also see a screen recording alongside of here, but I'm gonna flip my finger up. I'm gonna stop my finger on something. I'm gonna swim 1 swiping down. Put my finger on it. Nick Schaefer 1155. If that's you, send me a DM on Instagram, and we'll go fishing. So congrats to you. I'm gonna pick 1 more of you guys too. So now I'm gonna go to the bottom of all these comments, and I'm gonna scroll up. Put my finger down. Christopher, I don't know how to say that. Christopher Tishka 5325. I apologize if I said that wrong, but for those of you guys that I just chose, Christopher, and I already forgot the first name that I said, but I said it in the video, so you guys know. Congrats to you. Send me a DM on Instagram, and I will take you guys fishing sometime this winter. I appreciate everybody who entered. I'm also going to be giving away something in this video. So if you guys were watching this video and you were like, man, I wish I had some hook setting devices. Well, now you can win one. I'm going to be giving away one of these guys to one of you guys, so you guys can go out and catch one on this here jaw jacker. And this is brand new. I just took it out of the packaging. Brand spanking new. One of you are going to get to take this home. So all you got to do to win this bad boy right here, hit the subscribe button, comment down below the word jaw jacker. Okay, just comment the word jaw jacker and hit the like button on the video. That's all you got to do. Comment jaw jacker, subscribe, hit a like button on the video, and you're good to go. And I will do the same thing in the next video, which is going to be on the ice, by the way. I will pick a winner for this, and I might give, you know, a couple of these away too. I said I was only going to pick 1 winner for the trip. I picked 2. I might give away 2, 3 of these, you know. I'll give away a few. So definitely go down in the comment section, leave me a comment, hit the subscribe button, leave a like. That will enter you guys for the giveaway of the jaw jacker here. But I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys learned something as well. Hopefully you guys can go out and use these tactics, these tips to go catch some big trout on the ice if you guys live around here. Obviously Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, Sheboygan, any of the harbors, Manitowoc, any of the harbors. You can literally go up and down the coast of Lake Michigan, drop a jaw jacker with this setup and a spawn bag on the end, and call her a day and catch some fish. So that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. For those of you guys that are new, my name is Tony. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.